Hi, everybody. You are listening to Raise Questions, a Doula podcast. I'm Melanie Russell. I'm the executive director of To Labor, which is an international birth doula training and certifying organization. I'm really glad you're here. All right, welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Raise Questions Doula podcast. I'm Melanie, and today I've got a very special guest. Natalie Karasiewicz is with us. Hi, Natalie.
Hey, how's it going?
So good to see you. I never get to see you enough.
I know. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I know we're in contact every month, but it's been a while since I've seen your cute face. Natalie is joining us from Charleston, South Carolina. And Natalie, just give us your background. Do your own intro for me. Tell our listeners what you want them to know.
Of course. So I'm Natalie. I'm a doula and now birth photographer. Just added that in. So really excited
So cool.
That, of course. I'm a mom of 3 and also another 3 blended. So like you, my mom of 6. Big blended chaos. It's great. Yeah, that's it.
So you're a practicing birth doula and birth photographer now. Congratulations. And then also, what do you own in Charleston?
I am also the owner of A Brighter Birth here in Charleston.
Yes. So hopefully at this point, listeners, you know that beyond my role here at To Labor, I am the owner of a birth and wellness and lifestyle collective in Richmond, Virginia called A Brighter Birth, or we also refer to it as ABB or the ABB Collective. And I created this collective, 18 years ago. And it really started off as a birth-focused sort of just started off with classes. I was teaching classes out of my living room, childbirth ed classes when I was pregnant with my 3rd baby, fresh out of a doula training myself, a To Labor training, of course. And I started teaching, and I was just as pregnant as everybody else in that class. And so it quickly snowballed into people not only coming to class, but then people asking me for referrals for midwives and doctors and different hospitals, and referrals for chiropractors and acupuncturists and, all sorts of kind of the services that a pregnant person and their family might be curious about. And then it grew and grew and grew. And so now here in Richmond, we have almost 80 collective members, ranging from birth doulas, postpartum doulas, lactation, any sort of, we have an in-home pediatrician. We've got all sorts of body workers, massage and Reiki and Pilates and yoga and, everything that you could think of with the movement of body and the working on a body. We've got a whole mental health chapter with all sorts of different practitioners that practice different kinds of mental health. We have a home and finance chapter with real estate agents and a mortgage lender. Basically, it's become kind of like this Angie's List for services. And this ABB collective is like, you trusted us with helping you have a baby, then you're really going to like all of these other service providers. They are going to doula you through whatever service you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so a few years ago, how many years ago now did we meet?
Oh gosh, 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yep. So we met in Hawaii. Not a bad place to meet.
It's very good.
And you were living there.
I was living there. Yeah, I was living there at the time. And that was my first doula training in Hawaii.
Yes. So Natalie was taking the Maternity Wise doula training in Hawaii, and I had just started teaching the 2 labor trainings. And I really wanted to immerse myself in, back into that doula training world. I hadn't taken a doula training in quite some time. And so before teaching it, I was really nervous. So I reached out to Anne, the wonderful owner of Maternity Wise, and she welcomed me into that training, and just so happened to pick the one in Hawaii, of course, to go to. And then that's where I met you.
Thank God for that.
I know.
So crazy.
And so then a few years ago, we decided, my team here in Richmond decided that we really wanted to bring a brighter birth into other areas. And you were always in my mind.
I don't even like the first time I met you, you just like sparked something in me. I was like, wow, like that. Cause I had never heard of a collective. I've always heard, agencies and other things, but your like model intrigued me, and it was needed, that type of support. And I just remember being like, wow, she's so cool. Like, I love that. I want to do that. And so, yeah, I've always just been really like interested in that, infatuated with it. I think it's great.
Yeah. I remember also just really connecting with you and feeling, first of all, like you were just going to be such a great doula, which obviously you are. But I watched as you, moved back into North Carolina and now South Carolina, and kind of watched your journey unfold there, had another baby, and just loved your content, we'll call it, but really it was your life unfolding that you were sharing with everybody. And so when it felt like you were looking for something, I was looking for something, like it just aligned. So now Natalie runs the ABB Charleston. And tell us about this journey for you. What is it like? I know you are a practicing doula, but now you're a collective owner. And this is a really unique model that we have created really together now. What's it like being a doula and being a business owner that sort of oversees other business owners?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing so far that has been challenging for me throughout this whole journey is really balancing that active doula, but also, operator of this whole entire business. And then just kind of, like you said, overseeing other businesses in Charleston that are also a part of the collective. But it's honestly been really great, like just connecting with everybody. It's not only helped, my doula business and my strengths personally as a doula, but everybody else's, whether they're in the collective or not. It's been crazy. It's had its ups, it's had its downs, as any business, just learning the curves along the way. But I think it's been like the biggest learning process for me. It's so much change has come. And I honestly, I couldn't be more grateful for it.
I love that.
It's been amazing watching it grow and connecting with others. It's pushed me outside of my limits. When you're a doula, a single doula, you work with yourself, you're your own person, and working with a collective, you are now teaming up with other doulas, and you're teaming up with other wellness practitioners, chiropractors, acupuncture. It's just such a teamwork aspect to it. So it's been different learning that.
For sure. And I think it also creates a bigger sense of responsibility within your own doula practice, and how you are conducting yourself out there in the world and in the community. You are really trying to when you walk into that room, your entire collective is walking into that room with you. And so, making sure that you are upholding all of those, essential components of doula work, that professionalism, the advocacy, the collaboration, and always looking for new collective members too. Yeah.
I'm very surprised every month. We just celebrated in August a year officially in Charleston.
Yes.
And yeah, it's been exciting. And just seeing the growth, from last year to this year. And then every year, or not every year, every month, we're constantly growing, whether that's connecting with, new practitioners, people that are interested, or even something new where I'm like, wow, you would make a really great fit. Like, let me tell you what we're building. And I think you would be the perfect addition. So it's constantly just up from here.
I think a lot of people get confused when they hear, oh, you have a birth collective, but you have real estate agents in it, or you've got a home stager in your collective. What exactly is that? How do you explain the just the full circle of support that ABB really offers?
Yeah. So when I tell people about a brighter birth, they do have that initial, wow, what is a birth and wellness collective? And so I tell them, well, we have a team of birth doulas, and they're like the heart of the collective. And so when our clients come, we have this great wellness collective, and we love to refer for any of their needs, anything that they need. We have a great wellness collective, in your back pocket. And I kind of explain it to them as like, everything is in-house. Whatever they need, we have it right here, and they are well vetted and they are trusted. And I just kind of explain, like, instead of going out and looking, on Facebook in a group where there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recommendations, and that's,
or even just Google.
It's very, and those are they're strangers, but when these recommendations come from somebody that you are entrusting with, childbirth or any kind of support there, it feels personal. It's personal, and support is almost better. The experience is heightened. So I kind of just explained that as a whole to them, and instantly they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. It makes so much sense, And so I just kind of tell them, anything you could ever want in your postpartum and journey throughout, because life doesn't end when you have a baby, or even like after you have a baby.
No.
There's buying a house and your meal preps and something your kids may need. Like it never ends.
Yeah, there's PT and OT and behavioral health and all sorts of new decisions that just start, that whole cascade of parenting.
Absolutely. And so when I kind of explain that to them, I'm like, that's just kind of what we're trying to build here, is just this community of support through everything. And that clicks for them.
Yeah. I also, looking at it from the doula's perspective too, word of mouth is still by far the best marketing tool. And I think I have naturally been the kind of person that when someone is telling me something, I can sort of flesh out a need that rises up in them. And I can say, oh, who would be great for you? You should go talk to this person. You would really like them, and they would really fit this dynamic for you. I've been doing that my entire life. One of my friends, when my kids were so tiny, used to call me her personal mom concierge. And I've really, built a business around that. And I think new doulas coming out of training are always thinking, okay, all of this sounds great. I want to be a doula. I'm like ready to get up in the middle of the night and run to a birth. But A, how do I find clients? B, how do I find a backup? How do I make this work sustainable? And, there are lots of different ways that people can doula, just like you were talking about already. Solo practice, you can just work with yourself, for yourself. The challenges that can arise there are what? Backup support, right? If you're only working with yourself, for yourself, then hopefully you're only taking one client a month, because if two people go at the same time, that's tricky, right? And so then there's maybe a partnership, a doula partnership, 1 or 2 or maybe 3 doulas. Then you're running into potentially the same problem if you're all taking multiple clients a month. And then it's also just limited to you 3 trying to get the word out. Hopefully one of you is really good at social media and creating content and pushing it out there every month, which I know social media is like the bane of everyone's existence. And then mine, at least, you're good at it. But then there's also an agency. So talk to us about how an agency model is different than a collective model would be.
Yeah. So in my experience of working with and for an agency is you are kind of like a contracted, I don't want to say employee, but almost just like a 1099 type. And so when those inquiries come through the agency, they kind of, they disperse, they hand them to the different doulas. And then, the agency as a whole has a doula fee, a birth fee. And then a doula would get like a percentage or a cut of that fee versus with a collective, the doula is, they take care of their own business. They run their own business as they see fit. They have their doula fee, their birth fee, and the collective doesn't take a percentage of that fee. The doula keeps everything. And instead, the doula pays like a flat monthly set fee to the collective. And that kind of just goes into, a lot of the social media content that we do, the marketing events that the collective does. And, the doula would be invited. There's the backup doulas that you get to utilize. I mean, there's so much. And, if you're an active doula and you're taking 2, maybe 3 clients a month, that one client pays for your fee right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I think it really depends on what you're looking for. But it's priceless, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I started it like this because I really, I wanted to make money as a doula. And I quickly learned that I needed to add in some more services, childbirth education, lactation support, really kind of cover many different facets to really make this a career. I was in restaurant work when I was getting into doula work. And so, when I finally quit my restaurant job, I was like, how am I going to supplement that income? And so building out all of these different kind of chapters with my own practice, quickly led to me feeling totally overwhelmed and exhausted.
Ow, yes.
Yeah. And just like, I can't do it all. And that also kind of feeds into what I teach doulas is that, the doula shouldn't be the end all be all with the client. If the doula is the only one in that client's ear telling them about, different options and choices, the only one recommending, this type of nutrition, the only one recommending advocacy, it's not going to be as believable. That message isn't going to be as believable as if every single person that client is going to for services is spreading that same message. So not only is it helpful and more lucrative for a doula to be within a collective, because not only are they still marketing for themselves, but now all the doulas on that team are marketing for each other. Now, even the people in the outlying chapters are marketing for the doulas as well. Everyone's talking. It's also so helpful to have the client going to the massage therapist, the occupational therapist, the physical therapist, taking the group prenatal classes at the yoga studio. They're hearing the same message from multiple different people, and everyone is under that umbrella together. And so everyone believes in birth. They trust the physiology of birth. They have the same philosophy around it. So it's really helpful for both doula and client.
I remember this year I had like my first encounter with a client that utilized a bunch of people in the collective for support. And I thought it was really cool. And I think it was then where I was like, this is what Melanie is talking about. I was her doula, and she saw one of the chiropractors in the collective. She saw her for care. She did acupuncture, like pelvic floor, and her delivery was, first of all, amazing, like so great. But it was when she would come to me and was like, I saw so-and-so for chiro today and it was amazing. And she said great things about you. And then, she had acupuncture session before she went into labor, and just hearing her experiences. And then after, her experiences were like, that support was, amazing. And then within the collective, it was me, the chiropractor, the acupuncture, we got together to talk, oh, how was so-and-so? Did she go into labor? How was it? And it was like that sense of, wow, like to have this full circle of care is fantastic. It helped them, it helped me. And I feel like the client had the best experience. She was just like, this is amazing. It was all right there.
I love it. I love it so much. I love seeing the people come into the classes first, and maybe that's how they start to meet the doulas. Then they hire one of our doulas. Then they're going to, all of the appointments. Maybe they have their baby and then they come back to do our birth circle or postpartum circle. And then they're taking their baby to some of our practitioners. The in-home pediatrician is seeing them. Maybe they're going to a music class that one of our shops are hosting. It's just, it really, and for them to connect the dots, like, yes, you're right. I loved every piece of this because it's had the same vibe, that same like patient-centered care, individualized care. And then it just feels also like, as the doula, it feels like we have more support on the back end, which can, this work can be really daunting. And like I said in the beginning, the doula burnout rate is high. And as I have learned that and kind of seen that throughout my career, I've really tried to implement different facets of the collective to help with that. More backup. We have a giant backup doula chapter now. More, we have doula processing circles every other month. So our doulas can come and just process hard births or process what's going on in their own lives and really have this nice circle of support. We have business coaching calls. So if someone's having a hard time with figuring out a certain challenge with their business, we hop on a call with them and really kind of walk them through, really just doula them through it, talk about what their challenge is, what are some options that are available to them, and then, support them through implementing those changes. One of my favorite parts of the collective are the quarterly collective dinners that we do. How have those been going in Charleston?
Those are good. We always, have a hard time getting everybody in one room, as you can tell. A lot of us are moms and birth workers, so it's challenging. But when we do get together, I love them. And I think the collective really enjoys it because it's so unique. Like, there's a Brighter Birth, in Charleston is the first kind of collective of some sort. There's other groups, but I think this business model is one of a kind. And so when I tell them about that, they're like, oh, wow, like that's different. And I'm excited. And then it's just fun. It's nice to get together and just connect on a personal level. We try to leave business kind of at the door for a little bit until, you get a bunch of powerful women in a room.
Yes.
Talk and throw ideas off of each other. But I always leave just feeling so inspired, and then it's like, we'll talk about it. And I truly think it just like sparks something in everybody. So it's great.
Yes. Yep. We have one coming up here next week that I'm very excited about. And totally, just like you said, it is impossible getting every single person in the room, but it's nice because we do for a year. And so usually I'll see everyone in the collective, one time within the year. But we used to start with this, everyone goes around and shares who they are and what service they are bringing into the collective. And then we always ask a question. As the group has gotten bigger, we've tried to kind of shorten those intros down because then it was taking up the entire time we had together. But now we do more of a mingling kind of model while still doing the intros. But when it was still a little bit smaller and we were asking those questions, I would love hearing what each collective member, just for example, one quarter, the questions were, what are you really excited about right now in your business? And what are you struggling with? And so it was kind of like, all right, shout your wins out. What do you feel like you've done really well this last quarter? But then the challenges too. And we're all business owners in that room together. And so even if, a doula is sitting next to someone who owns a float spa, we can connect over, we run a business and there are struggles to be had here. And as soon as someone shared a struggle, 3 to 5 people in that circle were on their feet. I have someone for you. I want to connect you with this person. I think this app would be really good for your problem. There's no competition in that room, which has really been the goal here. This is just about support and lifting each other up, doulaing each other through owning businesses while promoting each other because we're all giving really great care. I always say the common thread is that every single person in this room is really fucking good at their job. Period.
Absolutely. Point blank. That's it.
Yeah. 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 So what do you have on the horizon for 2026 with ABB Charleston? What are some additions you're going to make? What are some services you might be looking for people who might be in the Charleston area?
So we're actually connecting with a pelvic floor therapist tomorrow.
Amazing.
We're really kind of focusing on honing in on I don't want to say closing out that birth chapter, but just kind of completing like that core birth and postpartum kind of resources. We have chiropractic care and acupuncture, photography, things like that. We're looking to connect with pelvic floor. And, Charleston is so big, but it's also very small at the same time. I mean, it can take you like an hour to get to one place, in Charleston because there's just so much traffic. So I'm really kind of hoping to have maybe one in each area to make it accessible. Like there's doulas in one area and then there's also some doulas in another further down area. So to have those connections in one place and then some also in another would be great. I mean, we have 3 chiropractors for that reason.
Yeah.
Focusing very differently in 3 major areas of Charleston. So it's really nice. So pelvic floor, would love to get a prenatal massage in here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really just looking forward to connecting. Myself and another, she's a newborn photographer within the collective. She's fantastic. We kind of just partnered up and collabed. So my birth clients and photography clients are going to get a really awesome discount and deal bundle with Fresh 48 and newborn photography there. So that
I love it.
Is great. Also, we have a placenta encapsulation specialist in. She's also our collective coordinator, Jasmine. She's my hunter.
Shout out to Jasmine. She's the best. Also, of course, shout out to Hunter. She's the best too.
We're also doing a little package deal there with placenta encapsulation or tinctures or any kind of anything. I mean, I love the collaboration aspect of the collective. I think it's by far my favorite. I love getting to like work alongside, these people who have become my friends now.
Yeah. And that's another piece of this. It can be really isolating to own your own business. And so getting to work hand in hand with other people whose target market is similar, but your services are different. It's all like sharing pieces of the pie together, but supporting each other at the same time.
Absolutely. It's been really great to see friendships blossom from this really sacred work that we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's great. So really just growth, growth, growth,
Mhm.
growth in 2026. A few months ago, used to go to our collective members' offices, kind of like you guys do, and just take some content for them.
Mhm.
I'm really big on the social media content. And I know as a business owner, that can be very difficult to capture content or just anything that you're doing. So I offer it for our collective members, and I'm just, well, let me follow you around. Let me just get a peek into your life. People love to see real and raw, authentic pieces of this work. And so
Mhm.
looking forward to starting that back up and really just growing. That's always our goal, just to grow.
Yes. Giving people an idea of what to expect when they come for a service is so helpful. I mean, I know when I am looking into, I travel a lot with doing retreats, and my youngest is a volleyball superstar on the travel team. So we're always traveling. I am always looking for, I want to imagine myself in this restaurant on this massage table. Like, I want to see what this room looks like. I want to walk through the building. I want to know what to expect. And then I have my little list of places I want to go to when I'm in that city. So I know it's so helpful for you as the business owner to go to these other providers' offices and, services, and just give people a peek in to what to expect when they come in.
Absolutely. And if you're anybody like myself, I'm very type A. I need to know the parking situation.
Yes.
Where, like you said, where I'm going, what does it look like? But I
Yeah.
also love it because it gets me a chance to get personal with these collective members. So I really
Hmm.
get to kind of get inside and, I'm asking them questions. I'm like, oh, how many kids do you have? Or what is she like? Or walk me through this, and it gets personal, and that's, I think, what makes it special, those connections.
I love that. I did a business coaching workshop with a woman here in Richmond. Her name is Suzanne Burns. She's wonderful. And this was a couple of years ago when she was doing these like mini business coaching sessions, group sessions. And the idea that she brought into the room was something that was really new to me, but it was like something that I was already innately doing, which was kind of validating and cool. Um, for so long, the theory around owning your own business and, putting that business out there was keep it separate, business, personal, right? Like keep yourself out of the business, put forward your business, your profession, there are strict boundaries here. Don't share too much personally. And she totally flipped that around and said, no, you need to show who you are. Who you are is your business. And that just made so much sense. I had such a hard time growing my own collective because I kept thinking, well, my collective revolves around me. My brand is me. And it wasn't true. It was just, what was the brand was the connections that were made, the support that is there. And yes, I created it, I'm fostering it, but it really is every single person in that collective that is making A Brighter Birth stand out. But then it's the blending of all of their own lifestyles, their, knowing those details about their kids and their own birth experiences and, their own construct around care, really putting that energy out there to showcase, like melding who you are with your business. I think draws more attention?
I remember the first time I got an inquiry, a client wanting to work with me. And it was the day after I had met with somebody about the collective. And she says, "Hi, my friend so-and-so, like, just met with you. And she told me how amazing your energy was. And I love following you and your videos. And I feel like we would work really great together." And I think from there, I was like, all right, like these word of mouth, it's real, but also continuing to be real and authentic and share who you are on social media helps other people connect with you on that personal level, which then again only benefits your doula client relationship, which also makes their birth experience far better.
Yes.
I was like, and I tell new doulas, I also mentor doulas through Maternity Wise. And so I tell them, be real and be yourself. And just post the content, just put it out there, whatever it is. People will find you and people will love you and they will relate to that. And it all works, Yeah,
we're all human. We're all doing our best out here. Yeah. So if you're in the Charleston area, please look up A Brighter Birth Charleston for all of your birth services and wellness needs. And then if you are a provider of services, if you're a practitioner of sorts or even just own a business that provides services to anybody, if you're really fucking good at your job, give Natalie a call.
We're all great. I promise. We're awesome. Yeah. Anything. I mean, people are always like, "Oh, I don't work with pregnant people or anything around that." And I'm like, it's fine. It is literally fine.
They're only pregnant for 10 months. Right. Yeah.
They're still going to use you. I'm sure there's going to be a point. And if not them, somebody else. Maybe they know a friend. They know somebody. Anything. If you're a business owner and you work with websites and graphic design. Hello, everybody in this collective owns their own business. We need that.
Yeah, exactly. I was just trying to get a financial planner to come in and she was hesitant and said, I really only work with people who have like really high incomes or usually in their 50s, 60s, 70s dealing with, 401ks and retirement plans and estates and things like that. And, it doesn't really feel like this might be the perfect fit. And I'm like, these pregnant people that come into this collective, they're not always pregnant. And they, the babies that I have helped, my first doula babies are now going to college. Oh.
Yeah.
So these people stick with us. They keep following us. They have parents. They have family. It really is. My mom, when she needs something, I'm the person she goes to say, who should I talk to for this? So just spreading the word, it doesn't necessarily mean that we only cater to pregnant people. It means that the trust can start there, but it's waves, it's like those big ripples in the community that makes a difference.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being on here today.
It's so good. I need to make a trip to Richmond. I keep telling everybody, I need to go to Richmond.
Well, I'm coming to Charleston in March. So I will be there for the Charleston Food and Wine event that is happening in early March. I'm actually, one of my dearest friends is a chef and she is doing one of the events and she has graciously asked me to help her prep for that. Yeah, so I know. So I'll see you. I will make sure to see you. Okay, good. Before we close out, we always ask our guests to share just one doula experience you've had. This can be a recent or not so recent birth story that really made an impact on you. Maybe it's an experience with your own doula or with one of the doulas you work with. But what's something, and I guess, to tie into what we've been talking about today, really with these connections, is there something that comes to mind for you as far as a doula experience goes?
I think this year alone, I had my very first home birth experience as a doula.
Awesome.
And it's crazy because, I talk a lot about home birth. I love unmedicated birth, physiological birth. But as a doula, I find myself primarily supporting a birth in the hospital. I feel like a lot of the advocacy is needed there, the support is heavily needed there. But I found myself supporting a home birth this year, and it was very eye-opening in the best way. Very validating too. And I think that experience really, it shaped something in me. As doulas, we learn about physiological birth. We do these doula trainings. We're constantly learning. We're teaching our clients. We do experience it. But I think really experiencing a true, physiological, hands-off home birth with a midwife, and I got to birth assistant for that midwife. So I was kind of doing two roles at the same time. It was very validating, and it kind of just, this is what I teach. This is real, So until you actually witness it firsthand and support it firsthand, it's very different. And I don't know how to describe it, but it was very moving for me.
I love that. I think it can be really surprising to come into a home birth experience when your history and experience so far has only been in a hospital setting, to see how resourceful, how creative, how skilled a home birth midwife is, because those tools that the hospital have, they're not readily available, And so, of course, the underlying goal for every birth is to have a healthy birth. But midwives, home birth midwives, are cut from a different cloth. Their tool bag is filled with things that sometimes you don't ever see in a hospital setting. So, and that's why I love being a doula so much, because we get to see how all of these different providers practice, and one isn't better than the other, but it's just different. And each skill set that we encounter, we get to learn.
Exactly. And I definitely learned. And I kept telling myself, if she was in the hospital, this might have played out way different,
Yeah.
And so I keep comparing, wow, if she was in the hospital, this might have happened, or they may have, mentioned this, and she probably wouldn't have been able to, labor how she wanted. And so it could have turned out very different, but, I think it just tells us what we as doulas and birth workers know all along. The body is capable of great things.
Yes.
A little patience goes a long way. Support and just those positive birth affirmations. You can do it. You are doing it.
You can do hard things. Yep. Yeah.
That was my doula moment.
I love it. Well, I wish more home births for you in 2026. And I wish more collective members will be coming your way as well. And I can't wait to see you in March. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. All right. And thanks everybody for listening. We have trainings up for 2026 on the calendar. We've got a doula birth worker retreat in June that is not going to have a training involved in it. We are going to just take care of you. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The destination is still to be decided, so keep an eye out there. And then we have our September combo birth doula training. So that's going to be birth doula, postpartum doula, and lactation support. That'll be, again, with Sarah Cole, and it's going to be amazing. So check out our calendar on the website, tolabor.com. We love to hear from you. So please give us your feedback, your questions, your comments, your reviews. Get in there and review us. Subscribe, follow on all the platforms everywhere, Facebook, Instagram. Watch us on YouTube, watch us on Spotify, listen to us everywhere else. That's it. Thanks for listening. This episode was recorded at Vera House, produced by Perry Young and Mike Metzger, and special thanks to my husband, Jared Russell, for his lighting tweaks and input all along the way.